Every single month, thousands of travelers get their Vietnam visa rejected, not because they did anything illegal, not because they submitted fake documents, but because of tiny mistakes they never even realized they made. What's worse is that many of them followed the official government website step by step and still got denied. No warning, no clear explanation, just a short message saying the application failed. The truth is, Vietnam's visa system doesn't reject people randomly, it flags patterns, and some of those red flags aren't visible to humans at all, only to the system processing your application. That's why so many travelers feel blindsided, and the first mistake usually happens within seconds of starting the application. Most travelers believe that as long as their passport has 6 months of validity left, they're safe. But that's only the minimum requirement, not a guarantee. In reality, 6 months is just the first filter. What happens next is where many applications quietly fail. Vietnam's visa system also evaluates the physical condition and data quality of your passport. Missing blank pages, slight bends, worn corners, or faded text can trigger a risk flag. Even something as simple as a scan that's cropped too tightly, slightly blurry, or uploaded in the wrong size can cause the system to reject the application automatically. No human review, no second chance. Another overlooked issue is passports that are technically valid but too close to expiration. Reports suggest that passports nearing the minimum threshold are often treated as higher risk, especially for travelers applying close to their entry date. The system doesn't explain this, it simply denies the application. That's why so many travelers never receive a clear rejection email. The system doesn't see a problem. It sees a risk profile and quietly shuts the door. But even a flawless passport can still fail for a much smaller detail. This is where even careful travelers run into trouble. Name formatting sounds simple, but it's one of the most common reasons Vietnam visa applications collapse behind the scenes. The issue isn't spelling, it's structure. Vietnam's system reads names differently than most Western forms. Family name order, spacing, and capitalization all matter. Middle names cause even more problems. Hyphens, accents, and special characters may appear on your passport, but they don't always translate correctly into the application system. When that happens, the data no longer matches national records. Here's the part that confuses people the most. Copying your name exactly as it appears on your passport can still be wrong. The machine doesn't read names the way humans do. It compares fields, patterns, and standardized formats. If one section interprets your name differently than another, the system flags the profile as inconsistent. And once that happens, the application often stops moving forward. No warning, no explanation, just silence. One extra space, one missing middle name, or one misplaced hyphen is enough to break the entire application. And this is usually the moment when travelers unknowingly shoot themselves in the foot. This is where many applications look fine on the surface, but fail once the system connects the dots. Selecting tourism feels safe, so that's what most people choose. But reports suggest the system doesn't just read what you select, it compares it to everything else it knows about you. Travelers claim that when their stated purpose doesn't align with their travel pattern, flags appear. Short gaps between visits, repeated long stays, or prior business-related entries can quietly contradict a pure tourism claim. Nothing is officially explained, but the mismatch itself becomes the issue. There's also the problem of disguised intent. Applying for a tourist visa while planning meetings, remote work, or commercial activity is far more common than people admit. And while many get away with it, others don't. The system appears to look for behavior patterns, not just answers on a form. Even more unsettling are cases where travelers receive visa approval only to be denied boarding by the airline. Travelers claim airlines sometimes detect purpose inconsistencies and refuse transport before immigration ever gets involved. So yes, choosing the wrong visa type doesn't always fail immediately. Sometimes it fails at the worst possible moment. But even when the visa type is correct, many applications still fall apart because of what comes next. Okay, so timing is honestly one of the most misunderstood parts of the Vietnam visa application, and it even catches experienced travelers off guard. The biggest mistake people make is assuming their entry date is the same as their flight date. But, it isn't. The entry date is when your visa actually becomes valid, not when you plan to board a plane. Travelers have reported being denied at check-in because technically their visa wasn't active yet. And yeah, even a one-day mismatch is enough to cause problems. Time zones, they make this even worse. If you're flying from far away, the date on your ticket might not line up with Vietnam's system clock. So, on paper, you arrive tomorrow, but in the system, your visa is still not valid. Then there's the whole rush application trap. Submitting an application just days before departure seems normal, but, according to reports, these files often get lower priority or extra scrutiny. The system doesn't really say this out loud, it just, delays or rejects without any clear explanation. Ironically, the more urgent your situation feels, the higher your risk becomes. Last-minute uploads, payment glitches, and review bottlenecks all stack up against you. So, if you're planning to apply soon, I've left the official Vietnam eVisa link in the description, so you can double-check everything as you go. And now comes the mistake that gets visas rejected in the quietest way possible. This is the mistake most travelers never even realize they made, because technically, nothing they entered was wrong. The problem isn't incorrect information, it's inconsistent information. And honestly, that's far more dangerous. Addresses written just a little differently across fields, job titles that don't match previous applications, or travel histories that seem a bit incomplete can quietly undermine your entire profile. Even small differences matter. One field says self-employed, another one kind of implies remote work. To a human, that's totally normal, but to a system, it's a mismatch. Copy-pasting makes this even worse. Long addresses get cut off, extra spaces sneak in, and text formats can break. Travelers think they're being efficient, but they're actually fragmenting their own data. Reports suggest these inconsistencies are a major reason applications get flagged without any explanation. Behind the scenes, the system seems to build a sort of credibility score, and when enough small inconsistencies stack up, your profile drops into a low-trust category. There's no alert, no chance to correct it. Just a rejection, with no clear reason. This is why so many travelers say, "I did everything right," and still get denied. But there's an even more invisible problem waiting right after this. So this is where a lot of travelers walk away thinking their visa is already done, when in reality, it never fully existed. Payment is honestly the biggest illusion of completion. Just because the fee went through doesn't mean the application was successfully submitted. Travelers report situations where payment shows as successful, but the system never finalizes the file. Sometimes, a slow connection, a page timeout, or even just refreshing the browser at the wrong moment can interrupt the submission without any clear warning. From the user's side, everything looks finished. But from the system's side, the application is incomplete. File uploads can cause similar problems. Images fail silently. Documents might exceed size limits. Pages freeze right in the middle of an upload, and unless you carefully check every single confirmation step, you honestly won't know anything went wrong. Then there's the missing confirmation email. A lot of people just assume it's delayed or stuck in spam. But in reality, no email often means the application is stalled or already rejected. The system doesn't chase you. It just moves on. That's why so many travelers blame a system glitch when the truth is a bit harsher. The application never crossed the finish line. And finally, there's one last reason that shocks people more than all the others combined. This is the reason that honestly shocks people the most, because it often has nothing to do with the trip they're planning now. There have been consistent reports from travelers whose applications were rejected due to past travel data they barely remembered, or didn't even know existed at all. Old overstays, repeated visa runs, or exits that were never properly recorded can quietly stay in the system for years. Even if nothing dramatic happened at the time, the data doesn't just disappear. Travelers often insist they followed the rules, and in many cases, they probably did. But unverified yet recurring cases suggest that incomplete or unclear historical records can still affect new applications. The most frustrating part is that applicants are rarely told this is the reason. They just see a rejection and assume something went wrong with the form. Meanwhile, the system may be comparing their current application against years-old movement data. This is why so many people say, "I didn't do anything wrong," and still get denied. The issue isn't guilt, it's data consistency across time. So with all of this in mind, is Vietnam's visa process really as difficult as people think? Vietnam's visa process isn't difficult in the way most people imagine. It doesn't punish travelers for big mistakes. It quietly filters out small ones. And those rejections aren't random. They follow patterns that most applicants never see until it's too late. What surprises people the most is learning that approval doesn't always mean guaranteed entry. A visa is permission to approach the gate, not a promise that nothing can go wrong afterward. That's why understanding how the system thinks matters more than simply filling in the form. If there's one takeaway from this video, it's this. Preparation beats panic every time. Take a few extra minutes before you apply. Double-check what the system will see, not just what feels correct to you. Learn before you submit, not at the airport. If this video helped you avoid a costly mistake, consider subscribing. We break down Vietnam travel rules the way they actually work. Avoid costly visa mistakes. Subscribe for Vietnam travel rules.